First of all, just the crowd was awesome, especially considering school's not in session, and we felt their energy. The third down stuff helps. In the fourth quarter, they were there for us, so we really appreciate that. It makes a big difference to us as a football team. Obviously, it's still a lot to work on. That goes without being said, really. But that's the game we play. You know, every week there's going to be some things that are good, some things you have to improve upon. The main objective is always to get a win, and so we got to win. But I'll tell you again that we're happy to get a win, but there's no satisfaction yet in the way we're playing. I thought we played better on offense, certainly protected much better. Felt like we ran the ball well. At the end of the game there, when you have to be able to run it, we need to be able to get a first down running it, and they stuffed us 3 in a row, so we've got to get that fixed. I was disappointed in the way we played on defense, especially coming out of last week. I felt like they're an unorthodox offense. They do some really untraditional things that are tough to prepare for. And when you're playing a team like that, what you've got to do is you've got to be extremely disciplined in your assignment. And I felt like guys at times were trying to do too much rather than just do what they were supposed to do. And when you try to do too much, ultimately what happens is you get exposed. And so in the third quarter, you know, we just simplified a little bit. We just concentrated on trying to do our job, and we played better. But that first half was not good enough and not anywhere near where we are capable of playing or where we will play. You know, like I said, the main objective is to get a win, so we're 2-0. We're going to Texas this week. We're excited about that, but what we've got to do is put together a great week of practice, and we've got to go perform as a team. We cut the penalties down on offense and defense, but we upped them on special teams, you know, and so somehow we've got to figure out a way to get that fixed, and we're working on it constantly. Believe me, it's not something that we just brush aside. So, you know, we had a game-breaking play there with when they tried to fake. It would have come back because it was an incomplete pass, but Kenny got his hand on the guy's shoulder pads and pushed up, and that's really not hands to the face, but I can see how the official would see it that way. So anyway, the focus for us is on being happy we got the win. You know, we're satisfied with where we are and working really hard every single day, making a full commitment every single day to becoming better as a football team. And that's probably what every coach in the country is saying right now.
Jim, it seemed like the misdirection was giving you guys trouble all night. What was at the root of that?
It's an unorthodox offense. Like I said, they swoop their line and the quarterback. You don't see it very often. It's hard to prepare for. It's hard to get a grip on where the football is. And you know, we're a fast defense, and at times we have a tendency to over pursue a little bit because we are fast. You can be fast, but you still got to play square and with great pad level, and at times we weren't doing that. So it certainly gave us problems. I hope we don't see an offense like that again for a while.
After looking better on defense last week, what were the biggest differences that you saw between this week's defensive performance and this?
Well, just like I said in my opening statement and just said to Chris, it's an unorthodox offense. We didn't do our job on a consistent basis. We tried to do too much. We missed some tackles, you know, the fundamentals.
Jim, when you talk about the sequence where Brett threw the pick six and then you get the ball back and he takes it, and Brett throws the pick six and then you get the ball back and he leads the touchdown drive.
Yeah, they were playing man on the pick six, and that, you know, Brett didn't see the guy. Guy jumped it, took it in for 6, but you know what you'll see out of good performers is when they need to come up with a drive or they need to come up with a play, they do. You know, and Brett came to the sideline. He was very cool. He was very calm. He understood what happened. He understood the mistake he made. He wasn't getting down on himself, and he just went out the next series and put a drive together. You know, and he did it with a lot of confidence. He played extremely well tonight. Unfortunately, we dropped once again, you know, too many passes. If we catch some of those balls, which we didn't, you know, his numbers look really exceptional. But he played well again tonight, except for that one darn throw that I know he wants back.
Coach, I was going to talk about what was your overall assessment of Huntley's performance? You know, yes, he definitely was very composed coming back with that performance. But what would you say his overall performance was, and what do you think he needs to improve on?
I think Brett's just like everyone on our team. I mean, it's just the details, you know, the fundamentals, decision making, doing the right thing, the right time, making the right read. I thought he played very, very well. You know, I thought except for, like I said, one throw. But that one throw can be the difference. But he did recover from that throw and put together a heck of a drive. So I think he's making progress every day. He comes to work every day, and he's real intent on getting better, and I think you see it in the games.
What kind of difference did you see in the offensive line?
Well, I felt probably like you guys, so I felt like we were more settled. You know, the ball was snapped and we were like moving together like you're supposed to. You know, I thought the protection was excellent. You know, we got sacked early in the game, but that was more a coverage sack than anything. I mean, we just couldn't get the ball out, and they did a nice job. But I felt like they opened up holes in the run game. We've got to go back and look at, like I said, that last series where we needed to run the ball and get the first down. And you've got to be able to run the ball, and you have to run the ball. You know, maybe looking back, that's a chance to put Miles in there and go with our big package. But at that point in the game, you know, your guys gassed, and I don't want to have to depend on that. I want us to be able to run the friggin' ball.
Hey, Jim, on defense, is it something that you saw on film coming in, or was it something you needed to adjust to during the game?
It was both. I mean, we saw some of it on film, you know, and we worked on it during practice, and, you know, it's hard to get the exact look that you're going to get, and then they did some different things, you know, and like I said, they're unconventional. I don't want that to sound like an excuse. I mean, when a team's unconventional, when they're doing a lot of different things, it demands that you be incredibly disciplined on defense. And when I say discipline, I don't mean, you know, not jumping out offsides, tucking in your shot. I mean, you know, gap control and your eyes in the right place and your hands in the right place and not over pursuing and, you know, leveraging play entry and those types of things. And so we got a little bit away from that in the first half. And when you're playing a team like Chris said with all that misdirection and you do that, then they can expose you real quick. And I thought that they did.
Jim, Texas is.
Steve first.
I'm sorry.
Hi. Jim, obviously, these scores are not what people expected when the season began, you being ranked so highly. And then maybe some of the players are disappointed that you have not dominated. What do you tell your players who may say, gee, we're not performing the way we thought we would perform?
Well, first of all, you know, we appreciate everyone's expectations, but they're others' expectations, you know, and they honestly, while we respect it, it doesn't really matter to us. We have our own set of standards, our own set of expectations. What I tell them is, number one, the objective is to win, and number two, let's find a way to remedy the mistakes that we're making and get better as a football team. I told them last week that I love their expectations, but I don't want them to become a burden. You still have, you know how hard it is. I don't think people can fathom how hard it is to win a football game against anybody. And we played, I mean, Virginia kicked the dog out of somebody today. This team won 63-0 last week. So it's not like we're just playing, you know, some guys. And they're pretty good, you know. So you got to enjoy the win, but at the same time, you've got to be realistic about where you are. And I think we're very realistic. We have a lot of work to do, and we will get it done.
Coach, Paul Perkins today had another good day.
Excuse me, who?
Paul
Perkins.
Perkins.
Yeah.
Has he kind of leapfrogged Jordan James in the running back?
I don't know that I would say that. You know, we're a team that, you know, it's funny, my dad asked me before the game, he said, who's starting a running back? I said, I don't know. You know, it really doesn't matter to us. It's whoever's hot, that's who's going to get the ball. And Paul now, for 2 weeks in a row, has run the ball well. When a guy's running the ball well, you feed it to him. You know, we got Nate Starks in there today, and he did some nice things. So we're going to continue to get him involved in the game plan. You know, we want to see Jordan start to make some plays. And if we can have 3 running backs that can be effective for us, then I think that's a real positive.
Jim, if you could look ahead for a second, Texas is not ranked, and they got blown out today. What do you have to do to get your team, you know, ready to play, you know, to not overlook them? And also,
don't worry about that now. You can overlook them. Oh, I'm sorry.
well, you know, your team looks at BYU beating them by 30 or 40 points or whatever it was, and then going into that place to play. Could you just talk about what's ahead for you this week a little bit?
Yeah, I think the main thing we do, the number one thing, the number one objective for us, the number one priority is that we focus on ourselves. And we get better as a football team doing the things that we're supposed to do on a consistent basis. We're always going to prepare for our opponent. You know, we're going to give them a scouting report, we're going to prepare a game plan, we're going to work on their plays, we're going to work on their defenses, the things they do on special teams. But on Saturday, we have to go out and we have to execute better. We have to be more consistent. You know, we have to be, you know, like on defense, extremely disciplined with our eyes and our hands and our pad level and our gap control and things like that. And if we can do those things, then we can be successful, you know, in probably against most teams anywhere. But it's a hard thing to do, and we've got to work towards that every day. You know, one thing we don't do around here is we don't look at scores. We just look at our opponent. We look at personnel. We look at schemes. We don't necessarily look at who they played or how they played. It's more about preparing for their scheme and their personnel.
Coach, can you talk about performance of the other quarterback, Paxson? What were your thoughts on trying to defend him and slow him down?
He was very impressive. 6'7", has agility. He runs with power. He's very accurate throwing the football. I thought what he did really well was move to his left and throw the ball with accuracy. I was really impressed with the way he played. I think that they've designed an offense around his skill set, and he maximizes it. He's a feisty player.
Coach, how pleased were you with the receiving core tonight, especially after there were no receiving touchdowns last week?
Well, I was not pleased with the drops. You know, we dropped 7 balls last week, and I don't know, we probably dropped 5 tonight. You know, it might end up being more when we look at the film, and that's really not characteristic of us. We're a team that typically catches the ball well, but right now we're not, and so we've got to find a way to catch the ball better. Now, I will say this, Jordan Payton continues to be extremely impressive out there. I mean, you talk about a guy that gets the hard, gritty yards and is consistent and dependable. You know, he's a heck of a player. We just got to find a way to be more consistent, catching the football, getting our blocks. You know, some of the stuff we do on the outside demands that those guys block, and so just like everybody on our team, we've got to get better.
Last one here, Ryan.
Jim, what was it about this week that made it the right time to roll out Miles at running back?
You know, we have that package every week. We had it last week. It just wasn't, we didn't get the situation that we wanted last week. You know, we got it this week, so we put it in there. What we'll try to do is continue to expand that package, give something for, you know, people to work on. Once again, you know, you gotta be careful how much you use him, but because he plays so hard on defense. But if we can get him in there and mix it up and let him run the ball with the power that he has, and then we'll do it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks everyone.